So Friday means presentation. Whatever is near, you seem very upset. Not playing. Make that one straight. And do one walk at a time. We have got a smart board. Be smart. And observe what is going on there. Don't do Fire turn. Don't come this side. So, in morning time there was presentation from Istara side. Now there is next presentator. Who is the next presentator? Anamol Adhikari. Anamol Adhikari, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Anamol Adhikari is ready. And let's welcome him on the stage for his presentation.
Namaskar and very warm good morning to respected our science teacher and dear friends. It's me Anamol Adhikari standing here to give a short presentation about evolution, chapter evolution. And this is the every Friday work of our friends. And I want to say that evolution. This presentation explores the fascinating evolution of horses, examining the changes in their physical characters over millions of years. We will delve into fossil record, analyze the adaptation to lead their success, and discuss the theories surrounding the origin of itself. And the first portion is about evolutionary change in horses. The evolutionary changes in horses are sizes and height. The diagram illustrated the progressive increase in size and height of the horses over time. Eohippus is the earliest known for the horse, was the name of a fox. Meohippus was the largest subset species like Merychippus. Pilochippus and Equus continue to grow in size. Leg structure. The evolution of the horse also involved changes in their leg structure. Eohippus had 5 toes, which gradually reduced to 3 toes in Meohippus, and Merychippus and Pilochippus and Equus. The modern horses have only 1 toe, which is adapted for running. And the progressive evolution of horses are Eohippus is the first stage of evolution. The earliest known for horse was Eohippus. It was a small and 5-toe creation that lived around 56 million years. And second was Meohippus. Meohippus, which is lived about 30 million years ago, was larger than Eohippus and 3 toes. Merychippus, which is lived around 15 million years ago, was even larger and had 3 toes, but the middle toes was larger and bore most of the weight. And the fourth one was Pileohippus. Pileohippus, which lived about 5 million years ago, was one-toed horse with a larger body size. Equus is the modern horse, evolved around 1.5 million years ago and has a single toe. Theories of life's origin. Theory of special creation. Theory of spontaneous generation and modern concept of the life. The theory proposed of special creation was the theory proposed that the life was created by a supernatural power, with all organisms appearing in their present form. It is based on faith and lacks scientific evidence. Theory of spontaneous generation. This generation suggests that the life occurs spontaneously from non-living matter. It was believed that life could arise from more or decaying matter, but experiment had disproved this theory. Modern concept of life. The Operin-Halder theory proposed that life occurs the single elements with macromolecules combining to form the macromolecules, eventually leading through the process is called abiogenesis, and it is about modern concept of origin of life. Abiogenesis, the birth of life. Abiogenesis, the process by which the life occurs from non-living matter, is complex and fascinating topic. It is believed that the first living cell accrues simple elements with macromolecules combining to form macromolecules, eventually to the first living cell. This process is thought. This process This process is thought to have occurred in a series of steps, starting with the formation of simple organic molecules from inorganic matter. These molecules then self-assemble into more complex structure, eventually leading to the formation of the first cell. That means abiogenesis is the process through having a series of steps starting from simple organic molecules from inorganic matter and eventually leading to formation of the first cells. Organic evolution, the journey of life. Organic evolution is the process by which life on earth has changed over time. It is gradual, continuous process driven by natural selection and other evolutionary forces. This evidence suggests that the first organisms were single cell and lived in water. Over millions of years, this simple organism this simple organism evolved into more complex, eventually giving rise to the diverse array life we see today. This process of evolution is ongoing with new species constantly emerging and others becoming extinct. Evidence of evolution. Fossil evidence, comparative anatomy, and embryological evidence. Fossil evidence. Fossil provide a direct record of past life, showing how organisms have changed over the time. Fossil fuels record reveals a gradual transition from simple to more complex organisms, supporting the theory of evolution. That means fossils provide a direct record of past life. That means it is a direct record of past file showing how the organism have changed over the time. The fossil records reveals the gradual transition of the organism from simple to more complex organism. Comparative anatomy. Comparing the anatomy of different species can reveal similarities and differences that suggest common ancestry. For example, the bones, forelimbs of human, bats and whales are similar, suggesting that they are share as a common ancestor. Embryological evidence. The embryos of different species often share similar features, suggesting a common ancestor. And for example, the embryos of fish, reptiles, birds, and mammals have gills, shields at some stage of development, and embryological evidence is often shares similar features, suggesting a common ancestor. For example, of fish, reptiles, and birds. And connecting the dots, the history of means the connecting links of the organism, the study of evolution. The study of evolution is fascinating journey through the time, revealing the interconnected of all time on the earth. By examining the fossil record, comparing anatomy and analyzing the distribution of organism, we can piece together the story of how it has evolved over billions of years. This understanding of evolution is essential for understanding the diversity of life on earth and for addressing challenges such as conservation, disease, and climate change. That means connecting links of the organism is the evolution which is essential for the diversity of the life on the earth and for addressing challenges over diseases and climate change. Fossil formation and evidence of evolution. Fossil are preserved remains or traces of ancient organisms. They form when dead organisms are buried in the sediment, which over time are harnessed into rock. The soft parts of the organism decay, leaving behind the hard parts like bones, cells, or teeth. These remains can be preserved for millions of years. And evidence of evolution. Fossils provide a direct record of past life and allow scientists to trace the evolutionary history of organisms. By studying fossils, we can see how species have changed over time, how new species have evolved, and how some species have been extinct. Evidence of evolution. Fossils provide a direct record of past life, that how new organisms are from, how the organisms were before, and how they are evolved and how they become extinct. Paleontological, the study of fossil, extinct organism, evolutionary or transition, evidence and distribution. Fossil reveal the extinction of organisms that no longer exist today, providing evidence of past biodiversity. That means fossil reveal the existence of past diversity. That means there are no dinosaurs now, but fossils provide that they were dinosaurs in past years. Evolutionary transition. Fossils show how organisms have changed over time, linking different groups of organisms through transitional forms. That means evolutionary transition. Fossils show how the organism have changed and transition from different organisms. Like horses have been changed from Eohippus to Equus, and evidence and distribution. Fossils indicates the evidence and distribution of organism in specific period. That means in different period, the different organism have been extinct or evolute, providing insight to past ecosystem. That means they are inciting the past ecosystem. New organism are being formed. Comparative anatomy, similarities and differences of homologous organ and analogous organ. Homologous organ are structured in different species that have similar underlying anatomy but may have different function. This suggests a common ancestry and evolutionary divergence. That means homologous organs are different species that have similar underlying anatomy but have different function. But analogous have different species but similar functions, underlying anatomy. This indicates convert evolution, whereas organisms adapt to similar environments independently. But homologous organs does not adapt to similar environments independently, and this homologous organ suggests a common ancestry, but analogous organ does not suggest a common ancestry. Vestigial organs. Vestigial organs are the functionless structure that is remain in our body. For they were present and function in ancestor organism, but provide evidence of evolutionary history of adaptation. Example in the some example of vestigial organ in human are appendix, wisdom teeth, and tailbone. These structures are remains of organs that were important to our ancestor but have lost their function over time. That means vestigial organs are those organs which are used in past life but not now, and it was used for our ancestor but have lost their function over time. Embryology development similarities. Early development. Embryos of different species often exhibit similarities in their early stage of development. That means fish, amphibians, first amphibians and fish, like that birds, reptiles, and mammals, all are being early embryos of different species often existing for their early development. By biogenetic law. Haeckel biogenetic law states that anatomy embryonic development recapitulates phylogeny evolutionary history, meaning that embryos go through the stage reassemble the ancestor. That means embryological development are the early development which can be seen in different organisms differently, suggesting a common ancestor. Geographical distribution of patterns of life. Isolation and diversion, adaptive radiation, evidence of evolution. Organisms that are geographical isolate often evolve differently, leading to distinct species in different regions. That means in different regions there are different organisms of different categories. Adaptive radiation, when organism colonize new environments, adapting to different ecological niches. Evidence of evolution. The geographical distribution of organisms provide evidence of how species have evolved and spread across the globe. Evidence of evolution in geographical distribution are those evolution in which organisms provide evidence how they are from different organisms and spread across the globe. Connecting links transitional forms in intermediate form and their example. Connecting links or bridge animals are organisms exhibit or characteristics of two different groups, suggesting an evolutionary transition between them. Some examples of connecting links are Archaeopteryx, a fossil bird with reptilian features, and the platypus, a mammal with egg-laying abilities. Lamarckism, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, a French biologist, is best known for of evolution Lamarckism. Though these ideas were eventually suspended by Darwin's theory, his work was instrumental in shaping our understanding evolution. In this means Lamarck is a French biologist in which he is based for the theory of Lamarckism. His ideas was eventually suspended by Darwin's theory. By his work was instrumental by shaping understanding of evolution. That means Lamarckism was suspended because of Darwin's theory, and we'll further learn about Lamarckism and its criticism. Inheritance of acquired characters. According to Lamarck, any characters acquiring during an organism's lifetime could be passed down to its offspring. He famously used the example of giraffe long egg. That means, according to Lamarck theory, any characters acquired during an organism lifetime could be passed down to its offspring. Is famously used the example means he has used the example of giraffe, how their existence through new offspring were changed. He proposed the ancestor of giraffe stretched their neck to reach higher lips. That means he said that giraffe were stretching their neck to contain the higher lips, and their offsprings were generated by long necks. These longer necks were then inherited by their offspring. Overgenesis. This process resulted in the long. This process resulted the long neck we see in modern giraffes. This idea of the inheritance of acquired character was central tenet of Lamarckism. Means this was the main characters of Lamarckism, that characteristics of Lamarckism that has been approved, and the offspring of giraffe will in the modern age wear higher necks to catch the leaves. The use and disuse of organ. Lamarck believed that organs develop based on how often they are used, and constant use of strengthened an organ while tissue leads to its weakening. He said that the organs develop when it is used further. If you don't use that organ, it started weakening. This idea was based on observation. The blacksmith developed strong arm muscle. That means he said that the normal person have not strong arm muscle, but the blacksmith, the person who is occupation is blacksmith, his arms are very strong according compared to the normal person due to his regular hammering. Snake evolution. Lamarck suggested that snakes lost their limbs due to disuse, and they adapted to life of slithering through narrow spaces. He suggested that previously snakes used to have their limbs, but disuse of organ, they lost their limbs and started slithering through narrow spaces. This example highlights how disuse can lead the reduction of body part, highlighting the importance of use and disuse in evolution. Influence of the environment. Direct environmental effect. And the case of act, Lamarck proposed that environmental directly influences the characteristics of organism. He believed that the organism adapt to their surroundings by developing new traits. For example, the thick fur of yaks living in the Himalayas and considered adaptation of the cold climate. He said that environmental directly influence the characteristics of organism, and he have also given the example of yak which have thick fur because of the cold climate in the Himalayas. And The X thick fur coat is excellent example of Lamarck's idea of direct environmental influence. The adaptation helps them to survive harsh cold winter of the high altitude habitat. That means the adaptation helps them to survive in the cold because of their thick fur altitude habitat. So from different habitat, different environmental influence, the organism differ from their parts of body. Challenges to the Lamarckism. Some challenges of Lamarckism are lack of experimental evidence. That means you have not experimentally verified his points. The impossibility of wishful development, and one of the main criticism of Lamarckism is the lack of experimental evidence to support his ideas. That means he did not experimentally verify his operation, and Lamarck's ideas were based on observation. His ideas were only based on observation, but no constant experimental proof that acquired traits could be inherited. The impossibility of wishful development. The idea that organisms could develop new organs based on their needs was also challenged. He said that the organs will be developed because of the organism need. That was also challenging for him to prove. It was later established that evolution does not work by wish fulfillment. That means organs do not establish in the human body by their wishful fulfillment, but rather by the selection of advantageous traits. The nature of heredity. Modern genetics has demonstrated that acquired traits are not usually inherited. These traits are caused by changes in the body during an organism lifetime, not in the DNA that is passed on. That means modern genetics has demonstrated acquired characters not usually are inherited. These traits can caused by changes in the body during an organism and lifetime, not in the DNA passing on through the body. And Darwinism versus Lamarckism. Lamarck, he believed that acquired traits could be inherited. He believed that acquired characters could be inherited, and Darwin proposed that inherited variation, not acquired traits, are based on the evolution. Lamarck, he focused on the role of environment in driving evolution, and but Darwin said he emphasized the role of natural selection in shaping evolution. That means Darwinism is much more acceptable than Lamarck because he focused on the role of environmental in driving evolution, but he emphasized the role of natural selection in shaping evolution. Darwin's The Theory of Natural Selection. This presentation, Darwinism, also known as the theory of natural selection, a foundational theory in biology, will delve into Darwin's key sides. Further, we will discuss about the criticism of Darwinism, the points of Darwin given through the science. Charles Darwin and the origin of species. Charles Darwin is a English naturalist spent years observing and collecting data from the boys in HMS Beagle. He documented the diverse species on different islands and continents, noting similarities and differences in their adaptation. That means that there are nothing similarities and differences in the adaptation of Darwin's theory. And publication of Origin of Species. In 1859, Darwin publishes his groundbreaking work on the origin of species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle of life. His main point was struggle for the existence, struggle for life. This book proposed that species evolve over the time through the process of natural selection. This book proposed that the species were through process of natural selection. The core principle of Darwinism that they were enormous fertility, struggle for existence, variation, and heredity. Organisms have the potential to produce more offspring than the environmental can support. Organism has potential produce to more offspring than the environmental can support them. This leads to the competition and resources such as food, water, and shelter. If there were more offspring of one person, then there will be the competition for the resources such as food, water, and shelter. struggle for existence, that individual with a population compete for the resource, and this competition can show with the same species between the different species or against environmental challenges. Struggle for existence promote that individual with population compete for these resources. That means there are more people in one family, then the resources such as food, shelter will be there will be competition for that, and between different species or against the environmental challenges. And the third point is variation and heredity. Individual with species exhibit variation in traits. Some variation are more favorable than others in the struggle for existence, and their traits are passed down to offspring. That means the struggle and the traits of the ancestor are passed down to the offspring through gradual changes in the population over time. That means in variation, the ancestor passed down their offspring, passed down the existence of offspring and gradual changes in the population of the over the time in the earth. And mechanism of natural selection where variation, individual with a population, variation means individual with a population display a range of traits. Selection, individual with advantageous traits that are more likely to be reproduced. And third one was heredity, favorable traits passed down to the offspring gradually change the population of the over the generation over the time. Example of natural selection where animals like chameleons has evolved the camouflage, allowing them to blend their surroundings, increasing their changes of survival for the survival predators. Means animals like chameleons have evolved camouflage, allowing them to blend their surrounding, increasing the survival for the predators. Big shape. Darwin studies finches of Galapagos Island and observed how big shape evolved based on their food sources. Finches and big suited for the food types and had higher survival rates. That the birds which are big is based on the food they eat, and finches and pigs are used especially in bird to eat to catch the food for the mouth. And antibiotic resistance, bacteria can develop resistance to antibiotic due to natural selection. Bacteria can develop resistance to antibiotics, which is because of natural selection. Bacteria will resist the genes survive and reproduce, spreading resistance. That they will reproduce because of resistance, spreading the resistance for the genes survive. Criticism of Darwinism where origin of variation. Darwinism did not fully explain the origin of variation. It focused on how variation is selected but not how it arises. Selection pressure. Natural selection is not the sole cause of evolution. Mutations, gene flow, and genetic drift also play the significant roles in shaping population. That he did not prove experimentally that how the variation is selected and how it is arise in the body. Vegetarian organ. The presence of vegetarian organ which are not functionable in the body and challenges due to the Darwin's theory. This organ suggested a history of evolutionary change. The vegetarian organ are those organs which is present in our ancestor, like their tailbone and some more organs which are usable for our ancestor but not in our time. And the legacy of Darwinism are Darwin theory revolutionized biology and provide a framework for understanding the diversity of life on Earth. His work paved the way for modern genetics and molecular biology, leading to deeper understanding of the mechanism of evolution. Darwinism continues to be central theory in biology and has profound implications for fields such as medicine, agriculture, and conservation. And key takeaways and next step where Darwin theory of natural selection has been major breakthrough in understanding the process life on Earth as we continue to learn more about the intrinsic mechanism of evolution. And last some Going forward, the ending, there are variation, continuous variation and discontinuous variation. Traits like height, skin color and intelligence show a range of possibility with no distinct categories. That means continuous variation are some like height, skin color and intelligence, so a range of possibility with no distinct categories. But in distinct variation, traits like sex, blood type and fingerprint have clear categories. That means they are same in from the ancestor. Mutation type, and by saying this much I want to conclude.
Which software did you use to make it? Actually, we have to make by using PowerPoint. So this gamma is very dangerous one. Just type natural selection, evolution, it is like this. And many things which is not